That's Destiny. That's Posey. Felicity. So I just made a 30-minute video and none of the audio came out. I was about to start editing it and I realized that for some reason everything was on, but there's no sound. Got Gene and Grace over here. They just got done eating. I brought them over and fed them and made the video in there while I was brushing them and putting fly spray on them and checking them out. But the 3 horses you saw at the beginning of the video are the 3 horses that are here on temporary boarding, and hopefully they'll be leaving out of here at the end of September, the beginning of October. Not hopefully, but I mean that's when they're going to be leaving. I just don't know if it's the end of September or the beginning of October. But my girls, they've been really cantankerous. Those 3 girls have been really cantankerous with my girls. And they've really been giving them fits and biting them. You can see maybe on Grace here, or this is actually Jean. She's got a horsefly on her. But she's got some biting right here and some scarring from where those horses have been biting her when she gets too close to them. Sorry, I just had to smack a horsefly with my ball cap. So Grace here has got some kicks on her. She's got a fresh kick right here. She's got a couple of scars down in here where she's been getting kicked by those girls, and some bite scarring up here. So those girls are just not acceptant of my girls coming in. My girls love them to death, and my girls want to be with them. But those girls just don't want them with them. So that's why they're over here eating by themselves. They can relax a little bit without having to worry about those girls coming up behind them. What's been happening is those girls pin their ears, and then they spread out, and then they stalk my horses, and then they'll corner them and they'll bite them and kick them. And I would have thought after 3 months that they would have settled down, but they still want to fight with them. So I'm ready for those girls to go home, and I know they're ready. I haven't been driving them because typically when I get them away, they get really nervous, and it's almost like a buddy sour, like I separated them from the herd, but it's not. It's a where's the other girls? Where's the other girls? Where's the other girls? And they get really anxious because they're afraid they're going to get attacked from behind. So they want to know where they are at all times. So that's why I don't have halters on them. Typically when I put halters on them and put them in the tie stalls, but they're tied up and they feel restricted, so they start pulling back and start fighting. So there's another horsefly on her. Been a horrible season for horseflies. Oop. I tell you what, these girls are really good with me smacking them. You're not typically going to walk up and smack a horse with a ball cap like you'd smack your little brother or something. But These girls are just really good girls. I had a viewer ask me last week why I got rid of the mules. And, you know, she had gone back and watched some videos and seen that I had mules in the past. And if you're new to the channel and you hadn't been watching, then you really don't know the story. So, yes, I did have mules in the beginning, and I trail rode them. I had Andy, who was a Belgian draft mule, and then he left, and then Gene came, or then Chief came, and then Joy came, and we trail rode them. But I wanted to drive, and Joy and Chief were not a match set. One was bay. One was red. One was fat, one was skinny, one was tall, one was short, one was fast, one was slow, one was old, one was young. And there was just nothing about them that would have worked in a driving scenario. And when you're driving, you know, you want a match team. You know, it just looks so much better than having, you know, Laurel and Hardy up there driving you, which is what they look like. So I wanted to buy a match team of mules, and then I went up to Columbia, Tennessee to Mule Days and found out that they were, you know, $20,000. And I was like, holy smokes. So I said, let me get a team of draft horses instead. And I came across these girls in South Dakota, and they were 2 weeks old when they were listed. Weren't going to be available till they were weaned at 4 to 5 months. And I reached out to the guy, and I didn't know him, but now we're really good friends, and we talk regularly, and he sends me videos. A lot of the videos you've seen in the shorts and stuff are him and his horses up in South Dakota. And hopefully I'll get up there, and in one of the winters, I want to do some snow driving up there with him and some other stuff. But really good guy, and these girls were, he was selling them separately, or together, and I wanted them together. They're 7/8 sisters, and so they have the same moms. I'm sorry, the moms are full sisters, and they have the same sire. In our world, that would be cousins, but in the horse world, it's 7/8 sisters. So I ended up getting both of them, and went up there when they were 5 months old and picked them up, and they've been here for over 3 years now. And if you've been watching, and you know that I took them up to Ohio, and they worked up there during the spring, and they were plowing and planting and stuff like that. And driven them down here several times, and we got into, you know, some good driving. We had a couple little issues, but nothing that we didn't work through. But these girls are imprinted, so they want to stay with you all the time, and they don't care. I mean, you can put fly spray on them, you can smack them with your ball cap, you can, you know, they don't need to be in stocks for the farrier or anything. They're just really, really good girls. The other girls were raised by the Amish. The three that you saw at the beginning, they were raised by the Amish, and so they're not in your pocket. You know, if you're not going to feed them, or if you're not going to brush them, they don't want to have anything to do with you, and that's fine. But when you do harness them and you do drive them, they're great. But I like these girls because I can, you know, they walk up to the gate when I'm pulling in. They'll follow me all around in the pasture like a dog. And, you know, my friend was over here working on the tractor last week, and they were just in his face the whole time. They never left his side. They were licking his bald head and just hanging out with him the whole time. He thought it was hilarious. So I took a few pictures of that so I could send them to his wife. But like I said, I wanted to drive, and I couldn't drive Joy and Chief, and so I bought these girls. And so now I couldn't drive them. I couldn't afford to buy a finished team, so I bought these girls as a brand new team, untrained, anything. And so that's really the only way that you can afford to do it affordably. You know, I could sell these girls for 3 times as much as I bought them now because they're trained and they're driving, and they're a desirable age. But if you're a city person like Tawana, she described herself as a city girl, and she's living vicariously through my channel, which is humbling. I think a lot of us do that on YouTube. We all find somebody that, you know, has something that we're interested in, and we kind of attach on to that and watch and live vicariously through them. And a lot of people are, you know, learning how to do stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of how-to stuff there, but you know, there's just a lot of people that live vicariously through others, and I'm flattered that people do that on my channel. And so Tawana's one of my new subscribers, and then Colin in the UK, who's I think he's an older gentleman, and he really has been digging way back in the archives and going back and watching videos that he had to wipe the dust off of them to even get them to play, I promise you. It was before Windmule Acres was Windmule Acres. It was just under my name back then, and it was just because I was selling stuff, and I figured it would be a good idea to make videos and then post a YouTube link and they could see what I was selling. So he went back and he's been watching all those. But we talked about the Grand Canyon Mule ride that I did 3.5 years ago, and I'm going to post that link in the description below. When me and my son went and rode the mules to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, spent 2 nights down there. That was a lot of fun. But I bought this farm 4.5 years ago, and it wasn't anything. It was just a fallow field with a bunch of weeds and a bunch of trees. And I had the mules, and I wanted a windmill. I thought it'd be really neat to have a windmill. And so I was able to get this windmill out of Nebraska, and I sent it back to a guy whose uncle worked for Air Motor, and he does windmills now and restores them. And I told him to leave all the rust and the age and character and the patina on it. I wanted it to look like it'd been on my farm since the 1930s, and that's where it had been in Elwood, Nebraska since the 1930s, and they replaced it with a solar-powered water pump in 2017, and this went out of commission, and he got a hold of it, went through the head and rebuilt it and cleaned it all up, and then brought it down here and installed it, and I had a well bored, and we set it on top of the well, and now it pumps water for the girls. So those videos are on my channel as well. And I built this barn with 2 box stalls and 2 tie stalls and the barnyard fencing. And then all of the fencing, I've got 3 pastures out front. I got this alleyway right here where they can cross over the driveway and come to the barnyard. Put the hay shelter up out there. And then I've got a 30 by 60 shop in the back there, with a 12-foot lean-to off the side over here, and then a 30 by 36 pole barn over there with my horse trailer under it. And then way back here in the back, I've got 10 more acres back here that's a hay field. So again, a lot of you haven't been around and you haven't seen the progress of the farm being built. That's kind of what it is, and that's why I wanted to drive, and that's why I got rid of the mules. And a lot of people, if you're city, you don't really understand that when a horse outlives its useful life with you, you normally sell it and pass it on to somebody else. So if you're a child and you get a pony, you know, that's this big, and that it fits you when you're this big, but then all of a sudden you're this big, and now you need a horse instead of a pony, you sell that pony to another child to let that child learn how to ride. Or you may get a horse you don't know how to ride, and so you get just a basic horse. I'm sorry, I'm so focused. She's got a horse fly on her. And you get a horse that you don't know how to ride, and so you get a horse that can teach you how to ride. And then when you didn't even flinch, you see that? Anyway, she teaches you how to ride, and then you get to a point where your skills are more than the horse's. So you sell that horse to another person that horse can teach how to ride, so that you can take that money and buy a horse that's more advanced for your riding skill. So it's kind of like a car, you know. We can't all afford a 4-wheel drive truck and a Cadillac and a Corvette and a Ferrari, and you know, you can't afford it, one, because they're expensive, and two, the insurance and the maintenance and the upkeep and all that. Horses are no different. You know, full boarding around here is around $650 a month, and you know, I'm fortunate to own my own place, so I don't have the boarding fee. But if you're going to pasture board, you're looking at $200, $250 minimum, but it's normally closer to $300. Then you've got the farrier comes out every 6 to 7 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. Mine comes out every 7. And then you've got the vet bill from the vet coming out. And down here in the South, you know, the majority of the sicknesses that are transmitted through the horses are transmitted via mosquitoes. So they want to vaccinate them down here twice a year because our mosquito season is so long. So when that happens, you get a vet bill twice a year. You get a farrier bill every 7 weeks. You got feed bill. You know, feed's $15, $20 a bag. There's just a lot of expenses, and most people can't afford. It's not a dog, and most of the horses are not emotionally attached to you like a dog is. And so most people that have horses realize that I'm going to use the horse until the horse has outlived its useful life with me, and I'm going to pass it on to somebody else, and then I'll buy something else that somebody else is done with, and I can move it on. You just can't, most people just can't afford to have a home and have every horse that they've ever had. A lot of people do, but the majority of the people will pass their horses on to somebody else and let them utilize it. So with the mules, I couldn't drive them because of all the reasons I explained earlier, or didn't want to drive them because of all the reasons I explained earlier. So I got this team, and I'm driving them now. And they will be bred next April when they're 4 years old. They'll be bred, and then they'll foal the spring of their 5th birthday. They'll be 5 in March, and they'll foal hopefully in March. Now that's a long ways off. You know, we're still talking 1.5 years before they foal, and 6 more months before we even breed them. So 7 more months. The guy that's got the 3 horses back here, he'll be picking them up, and then his stallion will breed my girls in April. I'll take my horses to him in April and get them bred. When I bought this farm, you know, none of this stuff was here. I've done it all, like I said, and I wanted the windmill here. So I put the windmill in, and so I wanted to incorporate the windmill into the name somehow. And since I had mules, I just combined the two and came up with Mule Acres. And you saw my logo at the beginning of the video and all that. And I bought this farm 4.5 years ago. I didn't inherit this. I wasn't born into this. I just kind of bought smaller pieces of property and sold them, and I just kept upgrading. And I ended up selling. I sold my last property for a huge profit, and was able to buy this 25 acres here for cash and stuff, and have money left over. I had bought 3.5 acres in a double foreclosure, and the FDIC shut the bank down, and so it was just tied up in red tape. And the FDIC was in Florida, the property was in Georgia, the company they assigned it to sell it was in Miami, Florida. The girl that worked for the company out of Miami, Florida was out of Dallas, Texas. So it was just a big goat rope of people all over the place. And so I ended up buying it for pennies, and sold it for 10 times, literally 10 times what I paid for it 7 years later after I cleaned it up. It had a bunch of garbage on it. But anyway, I was able to sell that property and pay cash for this. And I've only had this 4.5 years, and it was nothing like this when I bought it. But I'm still a work in progress. There's still stuff I'm doing. And one of the things I've been working on, I'm about to show you now. I've had a special project going, and I hadn't told you about it yet, but it's about time I did. Let me show you the shower house. That's right. We don't have any form of formal plumbing or anything out here, but now we're going to. Just got this delivered. A little higher off the ground than I wanted, but there's a reason for that, which I'll show you in the back. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some vinyl lattice and put vinyl lattice on the side after I paint those pillars black. You can see the pillars, they don't extend out past, so the vinyl lattice will go down, and I should be able to get it pretty close to match. But It's 12 by 24 with a Trex decking, 6-foot front porch, so I can put a couple of rocking chairs out here. Got a 2x3 window here, and then a 9-panel people door. And then 2x3 window on each side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a full bath in here. I'm going to have a shower back here, a toilet, a sink with a 48-inch vanity. There'll be a privacy wall right here that you'll walk around to get to the toilet and the shower. And then over here I'm going to have a washer and dryer hookup. And then over here I'll have a on-demand water heater, electric water heater, and I'll have a bench on this wall right here so you can sit down, kind of get undressed, and then I'll have a dresser in here to put clothes in. But Tyvek house wrapped or Lowe's house wrapped, ridge vent, double top plate, 12 by 24, and 6 foot of the 24 is the front porch. So it's like inside dimensions is like 11, and then this dimension here is like 17.8 or 17.5, something like that. But I'm gonna have to put a step across the front. I'm gonna put a 12-foot step all the way across the front, and it'll be out of the Trex. And then I'll leave this open because it's perfect sitting height. So you'll be able to sit right here and have a cold drink. Have a couple of rocking chairs up here as well. And you'll be able to sit on that side over there as well, looking out in the back pasture, which will be nice. The ground was relatively flat, and I could have put it all the way down on the ground, but the reason I didn't is because I need to run the septic. Let me show you. So I've got the water coming in right here in the back right corner. So when you put the lattice down, it'll be underneath. Yes, it's going to be insulated, don't worry. Then all of my plumbing, you're going to have your shower, your toilet, and your sink. All of that's going to come out and underneath, and it's going to be run over where? But to the septic tank. That's right. I got a septic tank right here. 1,500 gallons. So that's pretty sweet. So it'll tap into that 3-inch septic tank line. Your 3-inch drain line will come running underneath all of this. I could have gone a little bit lower, but I told him I wanted it 11 inches in this corner, which is basically what that is. And it ended up being like 16 over there, I think. And it ended up being within a few inches, but it's okay. The lattice is going to, once I paint these black and put lattice on the sides, a vinyl lattice, a lot of that's going to disappear. So I wanted to be able to get underneath the house to do the plumbing, and I didn't want to be jerking around with just being able to get my arm under there or whatever, even though it's only in this back corner back here. But it's got 4 skids on it. It's all pressure treated. All the floor joists are pressure treated. All the skids are pressure treated. But you see it's on pillars here and here. But those 2 pillars there, you don't see them, but he's got them up underneath there. So there's 4 on the outside. And then you can see there's 3 on the inside. And then there's 3 on the other inside. And then there's 4 on the outside. And look, electric is coming up right here. So I've got electric, water, and septic. So this has been my Skunk Works project that I've been working on without keeping you guys in the loop. But we're far enough along now to where I can let you in. I'm super excited about this. got an extendable tongue right here in the front. It's got a generator on it. You see the tongue extending. Got a shed up here. Got these hydraulic cylinders here. These are check valves right here, which only allow the cylinder. So they allow the cylinder to lock in that position, but I don't think you'd want to get under there. And then he's got these sideway wheels.
That block's breaking on that other corner, so watch yourself.
Okay. He's got these sideway wheels right here. And they allow him to shift that trailer this way. Picks all of these drive wheels up off the ground. I guess they're not drive wheels, they're just trailer wheels, but it picks all 6 of them up off the ground. And then he can shift that thing left and right. He said that trailer cost $74,000. So now that he's got the skids on the very end of it down here, he can shift that tail over. It's the most high-speed trailer I've ever seen. So that's kind of everything. That's answering Tawana's city girl question. She described herself as a city girl. I'm not calling her that. That's what she described herself as. And then Colin, who I've been talking to in the UK, we've been having a lot of good mule conversations. He said they don't have a lot of mules over there. So Colin, if you ever make it over here to America, then I'll get you on a mule. I know where there's a lot of them. I'll get you on one. And I wish you weren't too old to ride the Grand Canyon, because I'll be going back and doing that again. And again, that link will be in the video below. And then Miss City Woman, Tawana, if you ever get to Georgia, come on out, bring the family, and we'll throw you in a wagon, and I'll take you out for a drive. Everybody else that's new to the channel, I appreciate you guys subscribing. I appreciate all the comments. I read them all, and I try to respond to them all. I think I do a pretty good job of that. Every now and then I find a comment that got lost somewhere. I never received it, and all of a sudden it appeared, and I find that it's 3 or 4 months old. And if that's happened and I haven't responded to you, I apologize. But I appreciate everybody tuning in and watching every week and making your comments. So be watching for the shower house, where that's going to be coming in the near future, the progress of that. And then next month, they're having a mule day about 2 hours and 15 minutes from here. They're having a mule day, and it's in the town. It's not at a farm at somebody's house. It's actually in the town. So that ought to be pretty fun. It ought to make for some good video. I imagine there'll be a parade and some other stuff going on down there, but I'm going to go down there for the day. It's just a one-day event, and I'll be looking forward to see what kind of mules and stuff are down there. So again, these girls will be bred next spring by the guy that owns the horses out there, his stallion. And I'll most probably sell these girls, not sell these girls, but sell their offspring once they're foaled, and maybe breed them again and sell their offspring again. And I would like to have two teams. I had another team. I had Jewel and Becky, but they were an older team. And you know, these big old girls, their average lifespan is about 20 years. And so Becky was 15 and Jewel was 18. And so they were a geriatric team, but they were still great. And there was a guy that up in North Georgia that wanted them because he wanted to learn how to drive and do just some very basic driving and a little bit of grass cutting, and they were an excellent team for that. I didn't want to be driving them for extended periods on the hot asphalt and stuff like that because they were a geriatric team. These girls, they can take it because they're only 3. One of the girls had a bad hip, Becky had a bad hip, and Jewel had conic scratches on her leg, which is kind of like athlete's foot. They were still a great team and still had several years left in them to do what they wanted to do, or what he wants to do with them. So he's sent me videos and photos of them up there, and he's got a beautiful place up there, and they're doing real good. And Chief, my bay mule, is up in Kentucky, and an 8-year-old girl, I guess she's probably closer to 10 now. She's been riding him. And then my red mule, Joy, is about 30 minutes away from here. So she runs around with a blue heeler out in the pasture, so they become best friends. Stay tuned for October's Mule Days, and I'm excited to get the shower house going, and excited for the fall weather to get these girls driving again. So I appreciate you watching, and as always, remember who you are, be kind to those around you, stand up for what you believe in.